Yo, what's good, YouTube, man? It's Gary with another Fan TV, man. Back at another video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe on the videos, man. Let's get to today's topic. All right, so today's topic is that the Ravens' injury history, the injury issue, however you want to say it, have not gone away. In fact, they are still the very same thing that they've been dealing with over these last couple of years. Really, nothing has changed when it comes to the Ravens' luck or misfortune when it comes to injuries, however you want to describe it. All right, so listen, the Ravens game status versus the Indianapolis Colts this week. The Ravens have officially ruled out 7 players. So we're talking about 7 starters officially. Really 8 if you include the fact about Darius Washington, right? So let's talk about Darius Washington real quick before we get to the game status, okay? John Harbaugh and the Ravens, obviously, they put Darius Washington on IR yesterday. We talked about that, right? So the assumption is that he'll be out 4 weeks plus. Minimum 4 weeks, could be longer. John Harbaugh comes out today and says that Darius Washington could be lost for the season. So the Ravens issue at slot corner that they thought that they had solved or locked up primarily with Darius Washington is now a major concern once again. It's now a major concern once again. Sorry about that. So that means guys like Arthur Marlette, Marlon Humphrey when he comes back, guys like that are going to have to step up and fill in that slot role. Okay, cool. Also, when it comes to this game status report, the Ravens have officially ruled out, like I said before, 7 starters this week versus the Indianapolis Colts. So let's go over who's out. All right. Odell Beckham, out. Justice Hill, out. Marlon Humphrey, out. Tyler Linderbaum, out. Odafe Owe, out. Ronnie Stanley, out. Marcus Williams, out. Okay, so now, not only do you just have guys that are, the Ravens aren't losing guys that are just solid contributors, special teams guys, backups, not diminishing anybody's role in the team because everybody has a role to play. But the Ravens are losing solid starters, guys that are going to be out there for the majority of the game, if we're being quite honest. They don't have everybody on this list. There's not one person on this list who is a rotational player, except I guess if you want to call Justice Hill that. But if we saw last week was any indication of how the Ravens wanted to use Justice Hill, he played a lot. He pretty much played more than Gus Edwards, I believe. So that's a loss. That's a major loss. Now, obviously, the Ravens signed a guy like Kenyon Drake, who I like, who last year I said before was a big positive to the Ravens offense that was struggling at points and times last year. Kenyon Drake was a guy that I thought played well, was one of the bright spots on the team some weeks during the year, right? So that's good to have him back. But this is more about the Ravens' bigger issue as a whole, right? They fired Steve Saunders in the offseason. They had that very bad NFLPA report where the players got to discuss who has the best, worst training rooms and things like that. And the Ravens received the F, right, on that report. They made some changes, and obviously, injuries are things that is hard to predict. It's hard to just put solo on a strength and conditioning coach. But at the end of the day, something has to change in Baltimore, and I'm not quite sure what it is. It seems like they've done the lighter training camp approach. They've done the, go hard in training camp. They've done take players out of preseason games. So listen, man, at the end of the day, some of this stuff could just be freak accidents, and the Ravens could just be one of the unluckiest teams in the NFL when it comes to injuries. Over the last 5 years, it seemed like that's been the case, but they have to do something to try to remedy and fix the issue. But it's too late to probably do that this year. That's probably more of a next year into the future kind of thing, right? Because as of right now, you're in the season. You're trying to make sure that the guys who are out there who are healthy are ready to go. So for the Ravens and what they could do versus the Colts, we'll see, right? The Colts are a team that is still in the rebuilding phase. And honestly, Anthony Richardson is not playing. They're going to go against Gardner Minshew. Now, Gardner Minshew had a pretty good game versus the Texans last week for the Colts, slicing and dicing them up. Now, Gardner Minshew is a guy who's going to give the Ravens secondary some chances to make plays on the football, right? He's a gunslinger. So we'll see if the Ravens corners can take advantage of that. But who's going to be out there, right? So, we know Brandon Stevens is going to be out there. We're going to see a lot more Ronald Darby. Hopefully we see a lot more Rocky Yassin than we've been seeing. And, I think, like I said, Arthur Marlette will get a chance to go in there as well. The Ravens offensive line played really well last week. We're going to need a repeat performance of that. So I will say this, right? For the Ravens having all of these players out, these different kind of players out, it is encouraging how well they played last week. Now, it's great to have depth, right? The Ravens have a great depth for one of the first times, right? Especially if you look at wide receiver, right? So they are going to lose Odell Beckham for this week, but you got a guy like Nelson Aguilar who's going to be able to step in, right? So now you got Bateman, Zay Flowers, and Nelson Aguilar, right? That's really good for the Ravens, right? That will work out for the Ravens, okay? So it's not the end of the world, you know. I hope that they elevate Kenyon Drake to the active game day roster because I've said this previously. Melvin Gordon and Gus Edwards is too much of the same kind of back. So I would love to see Gus Edwards and Kenyon Drake leading the backfield this weekend. But we'll see what happens, man. You know, the Ravens have to figure out how to play their offense, their style of ball with the players that's out there. You know what I mean? That's going to be the challenge that has always been over these last couple of years. They're used to adapting to it. I mean, as football players get hurt, you know what I mean? It is what it is. But it does seem like it does seem as though it hits the Ravens very hard. You know what I mean? Ever since that 2019 season where the Ravens were pretty healthy, pretty much throughout the whole year, besides losing, I think, you know, the center and everything like that, Matt Skura at the time. So other than that, you know, they were pretty healthy that year, but since then it's kind of just been a wave of injury. So they have to do something out. Now, Odafe Oweh, I didn't talk about him. He's going to be out. John Harbaugh mentioned that the Ravens are looking to probably bring up a Jeremiah Moon from the practice squad, activate him. So we'll see him out there. So we're going to have Ojabo on one side, Clowney on the other side, and maybe some Jeremiah Moon mixed into the outside linebacker mix. But yeah, the Ravens have to figure out a way to overcome the injuries. And this is nothing new to them. Like I said, they've been in here before. Trying to fix the quote-unquote injury bug is something that's going to have to wait until next year because right now it's all about winning football games. And this game versus the Indianapolis Colts is a very winnable football game. Like I said, Gardner Mitchell is a veteran quarterback. He knows Shane Steichen system pretty well. He was in Philadelphia last year. He looked comfortable versus Texas in that system. But at the end of the day, Gardner Mitchell is a guy who is a backup quarterback. He's going to give the Ravens opportunities to pick off the football. They need to make those plays. And honestly, this can't be one of the games where the Ravens fall into a trap, right? So they have to figure out a way to blow this team out, or at least make the game where it's a comfortable victory, right? Too many times the Ravens play down to their competition and make games that should be a breeze way harder than they have to be. Hopefully, this game versus the Colts doesn't end up being that. But you know, we had to talk about the injuries because the injuries is something that levels the playing field, right? Now the Colts are obviously missing guys too. Every team is missing guys, right? You know, the Cowboys just lost Trayvon Diggs to an ACL in practice, you know, so it's happening everywhere. But like I said, it's like it hits the Ravens really hard, and they had to find a way to weather the storm, right? So that's my thoughts on it. That's my thoughts on the Ravens injury report. Like I said, just to say one more time, the guys that are not going to play this weekend: Odell Beckham, Justice Hill, Marlon Humphrey, Tyler Linderbaum, Odafe Oweh, Ronnie Stanley, Marcus Williams, all have been ruled out. All right, man. So let me know what you guys thought on the video, and I'm gonna get out of here. It's Gabriel, this is Fan TV. I'm out.